Here, we are going to be dealing with questions whereby we are changing the interest first. Principal amount is not going to be changed, but the interest is going to be changed. So if we look at the following here, we are saying timelines are going to be useful. And then let's take example number 5, number 1. They say refiller deposit 18,000. Okay. Refiller deposit 18,000 into a savings account. The interest rate for the first 3 years is 10% per annum compounded half yearly. Thereafter, the interest rate changes to 8% per annum compounded quarterly. Calculate the value of the investment at the end of 10 years. 10th year, yes. So if we're going to put this in a number line, how is it going to look like? Let's check this thing here. So refiller invest this money for how many years? For 10 years. So it means you can have something that looks like this. So you're going to say you have T0. At T0, we have refiller who's going to deposit a principal amount. Let's call it P, because sometimes we don't know what is P. So we'll say P, we know P is going to be 18,000. And then after that, we have T1, we have T2, we have T3, T4, T5, T6, T7, T8, T9, and this is where we stop at T10. So refiller is going to invest 18,000 for 10 years. Now, how is this 10-year structure? Just one check with how is this 10-year structure. They say the bank promised to give refiller the following: the interest rate for the first 3 years. What is the interest rate for the first 3 years? It's 10%. Okay? So here's what we're going to do on our timeline. On our timeline, we're going to put the interest below, and then we're going to put the number of calculations above. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say from T0 up until I get to T3, remember, from T0 up until I get to T3, what is the interest? The interest is 0.10, which is going to be divided by, let's check, it's compounded what? Half yearly. Kind of half yearly. What do you understand by half yearly? What should I divide with there? I'm going to divide by what? By 2. Ne? So I'm going to say it's 10% per annum compounded half yearly. 10% per annum compounded half yearly, which means which I am going to say which is 10 divided by what? By 2. Where does this 10 divided by 2 come from? It says we have 10% per annum, but we are going to do calculations semi-annual, which is half yearly. Remember, by now we know which our compound interest can be semi-annual, it can be quarterly, it can be monthly. Okay? So if they say it's compounded half yearly, it means which we are going to take this 10 and divide it by 2. I will still find it. Next. After that, we are going to say, but now, what is going to be the number of calculations, which is n? Let's put n above. So I'm going to put n for the first 3 years. How do we get n for this 1 year? It's 1, 2, 3. Okay? So we have 3 multiplied by the number of calculations that we're going to have. Since if we divide it by 2, what should we come and do here? We're going to multiply by 2. Okay? So we're going to have 3 multiplied by 2. What is going to be 3 multiplied by 2? It's 6. So the number of calculations that we're going to have here is going to be what? To be 6. The number of calculations that we're going to have for the first 3 years is going to be 6. It's not going to be 3. Now, what else do we have? They say thereafter, English. Thereafter, the interest changes to 8% per annum, compounded quarterly. So what is the interest for the remaining of the years? What is the interest? It's 8. Okay? Let's come and put the interest here. So starting from here up until here, starting from here, now we're going to start from here. If we go from here and then we end here, the interest is no longer going to be 0.10, but it's going to be 0.08 divided by. How is this interest compounded? This one is compounded quarterly. If they say compounded quarterly, what do they mean by that? I need to divide by what? By 4. Are we still together? But what is going to be the number of calculations? Let's check the number of calculations. I'm going to put the number of calculations above here. How many years do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Then I'm going to have 7 multiplied by 4. Okay. What is 7 multiplied by 4? It's going to be what? 28. So what do they want? Let's check what is it that they want, Bon. They want to know which calculate the value of the investment at the end of 10 years. So we want to know what is going to be the future value here. What is going to be the future value here? So which formula are we going to use for such a question? That's the question that we should ask. We're going to be using exactly our same formula that we're using, which is the compound interest formula. But as we can see here, our question is going to be divided into two different parts. There is the first 3 years, and then there is the last 7 years. So if we do it for the first 3 years, let's look at what is going to happen here. We are going to have something that looks like this. We have A, which is going to be given by P, 1 plus I to the power of what? Of N. We're still fine, okay? Now, let's go and calculate the accumulated amount. If we calculate the accumulated amount, we're going to say A is going to be equaling to, what is the principal amount that was given here? This is going to be 18,000 multiplied by 1 plus, first, we're going to use the first interest. What is the first interest? It's 0.10 divided by 2, okay? To the power of what? To the power of 6, okay? Yeah, and then from here, so we can always say multiplied by last 7 years. What is going to be the interest for the last 7 years? It's 1 plus 0.08 divided by 4 to the power of what? 28. Yes. Yeah, remember, whatever answer that we're going to get here is going to be the new P. After 3 years, when we get here, what is going to be our new P when we get here? It's going to be 18,000 plus its interest. And then we take that amount and then we grow it. So this whole thing here, it's going to be the new P. So we just have to say, this thing here, it's P. If I come and highlight it, maybe you'll remember. So this thing here is going to be P. Okay? And then remember, what does the formula say? It says P multiplied by. So instead of you doing it one by one, you can just put it on one thing and then you just say multiply. And then this is what I recommend. I will show you the other method, man. Let's first use this first method and then check. So what are we going to have? A is going to be equaling to, and then we type it exactly the way it is in our calculator. So we have 18,000. Okay? Open bracket. It's 1 plus 0.10 divided by 2 to the power of 6. What did I do here? I pressed 2 times. Okay. To the power of 6. And then you go down and then you say multiply by 1 plus fraction 0.08. Close bracket. All over 4. Close bracket. To the power of 28. So what are we going to have? 41,996, 50.